Okay, we are now discussing the principle of polarity. Okay, and the axiom for polarity says everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature but different in degree. Extremes meet. All truths are but half truths. All paradoxes may be reconciled. Okay, and that is from the Kabbalion. Let me see if I had a tab in here. Doesn't look like it. Okay, so, extremes meet. All truths are half truths. If you imagine a spectrum and you have one belief on one end, the opposite belief on the other end, there are gray areas up until they meet in the middle. Okay, and with understanding that, it says all truths are half truths, because if you're only thinking about one end, one understanding of a thing, you may not be recognizing the opposite side of it, the other end of it. Let me give you some examples that were given also. There are two sides to everything. For example, heat and cold. One person's idea of heat may not be the same understanding as someone who's feeling cold under the same circumstances, okay? And with the heat and the cold definition, there are degrees up until they meet in the middle, right? But still, closer to the middle, someone may feel warm on the spectrum, but someone in the same environment under the same temperature feels cold compared to that other person. One person's warm, maybe another person's cold, and that's just how it is. So keep that in mind mentally. Warmer and colder is on a spectrum. Heat is the absence of cold, or cold is the absence of heat, but they do eventually meet in the middle. Variety and rate of vibration. Okay, we're talking about light and dark. Light is at one end, darkness is at another. There's a variation in the rate of vibration excuse me, involved in that. Let me see what it says specifically here. Okay, where does darkness leave off and light begin? What is the difference between large and small? Another example, hard and soft. Another example, black and white. Another example, sharp and dull. Noise and quiet. People have a different comfort level with the same level of noise. We're in a room, there's a speaker system playing. One person may perceive it as being extra loud. That means they're sensitive to sound. And another person feels normal. It's just comfortable for them to listen at this volume. Okay? Varying degrees. High and low. What's high? What's low? What's positive? What's negative? Love and hate. There's varying degrees of like and dislike if you're thinking about love and hate. So consider that in how humans process emotions, how humans process their perception of varying things. Okay, what's acceptable? What's acceptable ethically for one person may be repugnant, unacceptable for another person, giving their background, their understanding, their long-term thinking about a thing. What really has this idea playing in my mind, there's a book series called the Midnight Series by Sister Soldier. Okay. I'm in the third book right now, finally reading the third book of the Midnight Series. And I love the way she writes because the main character is from an Islamic background, from a traditionally Islamic culture. And so he's living in the United States, in a major metropolitan city. He, financial circumstances when he first entered the country with his mother and sister, they were at a level of poverty. They didn't get their feet under them. They didn't have their feet under them walking through the door. Okay. So they ended up living in the projects, spending about 7 years living in the projects, excuse me, from his Islamic background, with the understanding that he was given. He had his father in the house, he had his mother in the house. They lived in a community compound before he got to the United States. And he had a particular understanding of community, how men function together, how women function together, and living out expectations, having a connection to the Most High, all of that. And then he came to the United States, so he's processing everything that he's seeing the people around him doing, how they make their decisions, what type of decisions they're making. Do they seem to have uh, religious boundaries? You know, what level of respect do they give to each other? How do the interactions take place? And he's participating in some of these interactions because he's part of the group of young men in his neighborhood. But all through the series, he's making observances about the difference between his mental state from his Islamic background and the mental state of the people around him who were not of the same spiritual background, social background, cultural background. Okay. And so he's analyzing and measuring things like acceptable behavior, unacceptable behavior. He's calculating and analyzing long term thinking versus short term thinking. And it shows oftentimes a sharp difference in the two mindsets that are going on. And so just reading it has been a process for me. Understanding a lot of the Islamic understanding, not really understanding the cultural on the ground for some of the people who are from the native countries, but growing in understanding as it's being described. And I think, Sister Soldier has done an excellent job on properly conveying the differences in the understandings. But with polarity, there are poles, there are opposites, and then there's levels in between, where they meet, where the understanding can take place. So if you haven't started the Midnight series, you can absolutely jump in on the third book and be okay, because they'll fill in the blanks, what you missed from the first two books as they're going along. But the importance that I'm finding in this third book is an explanation of polarity. So if you're a reader, if you get a chance to read that one, please do, because it does help with the understanding of how extremes can be navigated and how understandings can be part of you can gain understanding just by you can gain understanding of someone else by putting yourself in their shoes, analyzing things in a way different from what you were raised to analyze. Let me see what a closing statement here would be. The art, let me back up a little bit. Good and evil are but poles of the same thing, and the Hermeticists understands the art of transmuting evil into good by means of an application of the principle of polarity. In short, the art of polarization becomes a phase of mental alchemy. Okay, as we're learning, we're growing in our ability to perform mental alchemy, known and practiced by the ancient and modern Hermetic masters. An understanding of the principle will enable one to challenge his own polarity as well as that of others if you will devote the time and study necessary to master the art. And as I said, definitely this third book of the Midnight series is an active processing of mental alchemy, because he needs to do that in order to function well in the society that he's now in the United States, as opposed to what he would have been functioning in his home country. And you even see part of him trying to create what he had in the home country with people here in the United States with some levels of success, with definite levels of success. And that's not to say that, and this is a bit of a spoiler, just because he was gaining success and recreating, bringing people together, having a common understanding, tutoring people into a way of self empowerment, does not mean that other people were not watching in the wings and opposed to his actions. Okay, so whatever you're doing, be prepared for conflicting reactions from other people. And that's okay. That's probably why a lot of the people with the know-how, the adepts, separated themselves to a degree from the regular society, because they had a level of understanding that the rest of the society did not have and were not ready to accept, which I believe is part of the reason why a lot of this information was not common knowledge, public knowledge. You had to have a real solid knowledge base to be able to navigate these themes, these theories, these ways of performing this mental alchemy, spiritual growth, and living your life in a way of integrity. Because not everybody has the same understanding of what integrity is. But with that, I'm going to leave you with this message, and then I'm going to continue with the other principles in following videos. Okay, so hit the notification bell and follow, subscribe, share, share, share. Come on back. I enjoy having your company, and I hope you learn a lot while I'm learning and teaching. Be well.